All right, so cool. We're live. Zach, this is us talking about Frog God games and role playing games and everything that we always do. So, if you're obviously watching this on my channel, you well know if you've watched what I've done. I'm an RPG gamer first before I got into the whole board game thing, and so whenever I get to talk about role playing games and discuss role playing games with people that are preeminent in the industry, I always find it exciting. Now, Zach's kind of weird. He's a publisher in his own right, but you now are like the head of, I don't know, what is your title with Frog God Games now?
Um, I like to call myself the Zach of all trades, but I'm the COO. I do all the I do much of the business stuff with Bill directly, strategic stuff and pricing, and do the web store. But I also write some and do like backup layout and just lots of stuff.
Well, yeah, and you've published your own stuff too. And of course, I'm not going to forget. I'm going to totally
You know,
forget the name of your publishing company.
it was lesser known, and I did two box
Lesser.
sets and a few little modules, and that's how I got here. And I didn't plan on winding up here. I just wanted. It was like a bucket list. I love box sets. I mean,
Are you ever going to go with Lesser Gnome again? Are you ever going to do anything again with that?
I'm not. I'm allowed to. I just don't have any time.
Yeah,
To be quite honest with you, this is like the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. But this is a giant. There's so much potential at Frog God to do so many things that I want to do them all at once. So I'm always real busy.
and that's the one thing, I mean, too. I mean, since I work, for a board game publisher, it seems like there's never enough time to get everything that you need to get done, and it's really, my boss, his name's Daniel, and he once said that like the trick is, he said you're going to be. He told me when I got the job, he said you're going to be juggling these balls all the time. He said the trick is that you got to make sure that you don't drop. You, you don't drop the glass ones. He said if you drop one that's rubber, that's fine. It'll bounce a couple times. You can pick it up and keep going. But the big thing is that figure out which ones are important, and you can let some of the other stuff fall to the ground for a little while until you pick it up.
Well, the worst part is like I like doing the other day I was spending time making logo stings on Adobe After Effects. Is that really important for the video stuff we do? Probably not, but I like doing it. So the blur between like what I like to do in my free time and what I have to do for work, I can like fudge and pretend like it's totally work, but it's also like some of it's a really good time. The hard part is like conventions are now work.
Oh, don't even get me started on that. It's like, so I went to Gen Con, which was just, now like it seems like it was forever ago, but it was just like only 2 weeks ago now.
Yep.
And I remember like I had so many meetings at Gen Con. I mean, it was like normally at Gen Con, like even the first year I worked for Tasting Minstrel Games, the first year I worked, like they said, you need to go out and talk and mingle with people and discuss and just be our spokesperson. And so I did a lot of that, and I was able to wander the floor and demo games and things like that and just talk to people. And they wanted me again to do that this year, but this was the first year that, like, I think I've been Gen Con 6 or 7 years in a row. This is the first time I didn't see all the dealer hall. Like I mean, one, it's huge now because it's Gen Con so big, but I normally made it a point. I was like, I would take a day and I'm like, I'm going to walk the entire dealer hall. I'm going to just start in a corner and I'd start walking up and down, take a break at lunchtime and then but then that was my thing. And I never got a chance to do that. There was like wide swaths of the dealer hall that I never saw. And just because I had like, I'd have like an hour, but I got to make sure I get back over here because I have a meeting with this guy to talk about this. And it was just, I don't know. It was one of those things where, yes, it was cool that once again, I was at a convention and I was, working, but
think of the money you saved.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I did bring home, a fair haul, but I mean, it was about a third of the size of what I normally would purchase. So
no, I hear you. And I still love the conventions, but it's odd because things happen like real quick, and all of a sudden your year just got busy. I was like, we have a pretty light fall. No, because like we picked up Bunnies and Burrows was a game by Fantasy Games Unlimited back in the 70s, I think, and we're going to do the second edition of that with Dr. Sestair, who actually made the game the first time. And that just happened in like within 20 minutes when I was sitting in North Texas, I became the project manager of that out of nowhere. So, and so, you know, that's the kind of things that happen. But the flip side is, man, it's like, it was a really old role playing game, and the update is kind of cool. It's like Watership Down. It's nifty. And it's cool to learn new stuff and see new things in games. But I'm tired. So
it is. It's tiring. And then like I also find that like if I have like, you know, video work I have to do, or if I have, because we have a podcast now, if I have audio, you know, work I have to do, like editing and things like that, the best time to do it is after everybody's asleep, right? Because you can focus on your PC screen. And so then all of a sudden you blink and it's like 3 o'clock in the morning and you realize that you're only going to get 5-6 hours of sleep again, because everybody else is going to be awake pretty soon and you're going to have to do your thing. But yeah, it's like I said, it's my dream job, and I absolutely love it, like you say. But it's also like, it's work. Everybody thinks, oh, it must be amazing for you. You just get to sit around and play games all the time. No, that isn't all I get to do. There's a lot more to it. But regardless, we can sit here. Woe is us, right?
Yeah, well, it's not woe is us. I have a question. Do you use Adobe Audition? What do you use for your podcast stuff? I have to ask as a one professional to another.
Yeah, I use Audition. Audition, okay. I think is, we our company's got the suite, so you might as well use the stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think it works pretty well. The thing is, what's weird is like, I know people that do all of their podcast stuff with like Audacity, which is a completely free audio program. And they just, and I listen to their stuff and I can't tell the difference between that and like a super, I think it comes down a lot to like a little bit of equipment, as far as like your microphones you're using and what have you. So it's good stuff, but it's easy for people to like, polish a turd, I guess is what I'm saying. Yeah. Sometimes you can, with the right editing and with the right people too. Right. Just as far as talking and what have you, it works out pretty well. Okay. So like, Frog Eye Games, obviously was Necromancer Games a long time ago, and you now are in this position or what have you. You say now you've got this Bunnies and Burrows, but didn't you guys just get like something else too? I forget what I think you told me. I don't know if you told me. I don't know if I can like say it. Have you announced like the other stuff that you kind of snagged as far as?
Well, it's like as far as snagged, we have like today, I think 19 pallets of books arrives in Paulsbo with Bill's house to be shipped for the Blight, and that's actually we've worked on all spring.
Don't forget my copy.
No, we already forgot it.
No, dang it.
I'm sorry. That would be 19. That would have been 20 pallets, and you just had to lose. No,
no, dang it.
990 pages is what it is in Pathfinder, and like 900 in 5e, and the PDF got some pretty good reception. So that comes out today. So that is a big load off of our stuff because it was just huge, and it's actually really good, and it's
amazing. You were kind enough to give me a link for the PDF, and I've read about 2/3 of it, and
that's impressive.
Well, yeah, it's like, what else can you do? You're laying in bed, your wife's watching HGTV, and I'm just like half paying attention. So I've got the iPad out, and I'm just scrolling through it and reading it. It's one of those things too where like reading it, it's not like a normal RPG, right? How do you explain it? It's like the way that it's written isn't like your standard. It's like kind of like reading a novel in a weird way. It's really good stuff.
It is good stuff, and it's also very it's very thorough. And I think there's like 14 ancillary books that go with it, including players' guides, GM guides, map folios. You name it. And so it's got a lot. And it's great. And so that's today. That ends today. We're right now going on. We have a Quest of Doom 4 Kickstarter, and that one is there's 16 short modules that we've got that are going to be in soft cover, and it's a mix and match, and it allows you to pick and choose, and it has 5e, Pathfinder, and Swords and Wizardry. So there's actually 48 individual ISBNs involved with 16 titles, but they're all complete, and they're just like they're almost getting ready to go layout. The art's mostly done. The maps are done. And so those will be delivered like in Q4. And so that's going on. That's about to end. But then it starts to get wild because in September is the target, and it's pretty close. We are launching the Rapid Ethics VTT maps and map folio in color. And so in layers and designed to be played on a screen or on a projector, as well as being printed out in the folio. And there's a Rapid Ethic has over 100 maps, and then so as a GM map and a player map makes 200 maps, and then you add a layered map with 4 different layers on it, and it makes a third map, and then you add a PDF one for projectors, and that makes 4. And so they're beautiful maps, and I can show you some in a little bit. They are awesome, and there's a lot of them. They're almost all done, and I think that's going to be very popular.
I'm really looking forward to that because I mean, Rapid Ethic. I mean, I've ran it several times. It is a, like in one way or another. You just like the best thing about this giant dungeon is yes, you can try to run the dungeon. I don't know, like you're going to kill off most of your PCs, and so you're going to have like a PC generator town nearby to replace them. But
they got one inside.
Yeah, exactly, they do. But so you need to be able. But I mean, as far as like, there's you can definitely just transplant levels of that dungeon and insert them into other campaigns and everything like that. I mean, there's fantastic levels that are like all about like just a giant evil temple to like Orcus, some evil god. You don't even have to use that evil god. You can just make another evil god, but it's like just a really, really good level for a thing. And I've definitely stolen lots of stuff from that and used it in my homebrew stuff. So I mean, and it's that, yeah. I mean, Rapid Ethic, I think that's kind of like your signature title, right? I mean,
yeah, I would say that is probably our signature title. We also we sell lots of like Slumbering Czar for Frog God is another one. But Rapid Ethic is coming out in 5e real soon, and so that's going to be a Kickstarter probably Q1, first week of January, maybe end of December, and that one is it's already finished. The conversion is done. Now we're just doing the making sure it looks good inside the let's see here, inside the like the Word document, so it's ready for layout. New color art, and like part of the maps Kickstarter is the maps are in color, but some of the stretch goals involve more color art for Rapid Ethic and more like prints of those art pieces for like showing at the table for if you buy the print set.
Very nice.
Or ones that you can flash in the VTT set so you can show players the rooms and such. And then tokens are the other thing that we're going to do for Rapid Ethic. So there'll be a Fantasy Grounds and a Roll20 conversions eventually for those. But you'll have the stuff to run it yourself then. Plus, with all the maps, you can make your own dungeons on these maps. There's lots of them, and they're good. They're good maps.
No, I mean, yeah, they're fantastic cartography, if you will. No, I mean that's cool. I mean that's cool. So the Quest of Doom stuff, like I know I've checked it out, and obviously like I've really enjoyed all the other Quests of Doom books that you have that they've come out. It was a little confusing at first because I was like, because you had to like remember like Quest because
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it confused me, and I work here, and so
Yeah, you have to like sit there and it's like, wait a minute, which ones are the ones that I need, and like okay, so like because like Quest of Doom like was itself, and then Quests of Doom, wasn't it like Quests of Doom like 1 and 2 or something, where like the 5th edition was split into 2, like right. But
Volume 1, Quest of Doom Volume 1, Quest of Doom Volume 2, Quest of Doom 3, Quest of Doom 4. It's just, yes, I know. And I barely figured it out because I have to answer customer questions on it. That was before I helped like do any of the strategic stuff. So I don't take any blame for that.
You're already shoving blame away. Like it's not my fault.
And I have plenty people shove it too, but no. It's actually, to be honest with you, it was a hard decision on how to do it because 5e had just come out. And some of them, we couldn't re-release it as Quest of Doom just 2 because a lot of those had come out already in Pathfinder and Swords of Wizardry. So some of those are just 5e. And it became like kind of hard. And we're doing a new Tome of Horrors for 5e and Swords and Wizardry. And the naming it's getting tough because we had Tome of Horrors. We had Tome of Horrors 2, Tome of Horrors 3, Tome of Horrors Complete, Tome of Horrors 4. Um, and now what do we have? And so we're discussing how to do it. I think we got a good solution, but we want to make sure that it is less confusing. And it's just hard because you've released so many products and there's only so many good words for RPG stuff. You know, everybody's taking Codex, Tome, Core. You know, it's like you go through a list, and we're trying to get one that stands out, but isn't the Lost Lands, Tome of Horrors, Codex Part 2. You know, it's got to be something that is at least catchy. So we're working on it. And so, but yeah, the maps are the first step that to get us one into a more and better color art, not better, more and more frequent, because we have great art and we have great color art, but we don't have as much of it because it's not cheap. You know, and artists spend a lot of time and deserve the money they earn. But in order to afford as much of that as we can in really long books, it's becomes there's a reason why the books cost $100, and it isn't because we're greedy. I assure you, if we were greedy, they'd be twice that.
You know? And I try to explain that to him. Like I'll take Slumbering Czar, which is an immense book. I mean, absolutely immense. You can't. I've read it, you know, which I'm proud of because it's like, you know, whatever, 1,000 pages or whatever, and it's a fantastic.
It is
ridiculously in depth and fantastic a module. I've always said one day I'm going to run this, and I don't know when, but one day, you know, it's one of those things where it's like it's this idea that I have. But you look at it, I mean, and I know that you know, the Frog God people, you know, Bill really prides himself in the fact that your books have the binding that it has. You know, like you know, you make giant books and you make them to last. These are textbook binding. You can drop them off the table. They're not going to split. I mean, like literally, like the other day, I was just carrying some books and I had the most recent like edition of Shadowrun book, and it just dropped. It dropped like 3.5 feet. It hit a carpeted floor, and the whole thing just popped. Like the whole thing broke. I mean, the backing broke, everything like that. All the pages fell out of it. I was just kind of like,
Bill would have a heart attack.
Oh, I know. And I was looking at it, I was like, why couldn't I have dropped, you know, like one of my books, you know, from Frog God, because it would have put a dent in the floor before it would have broken anything.
And we're not going to never do those again, but the Blight is probably the last really big one we're going to do for a while, mostly because we think that more infrequent color releases for 5e and Pathfinder that are basically, I think it comes down to some people just don't want to try us out for the first time at $160 for a book.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I can see that.
But Rapid Ethic's not going to be short.
No, no, not at all.
We're going to be doing a 5e version of Teagle Manor, and that longer, but that won't be super long. Yeah, Alyssa Faden is doing our map for it. I'm really excited about it. It's going to be great.
That's fantastic.
Now, I don't know how many people, like except for us, remember Teagle Manor with a giant fondness, but Bill Webb loves it more than anybody on the planet, and so it's going to be it'll be a labor of love. So.
Yeah, no, that'll be great. I mean, Teagle Manor is a really, really old Judges Guild adventure, and it was really one of a kind. It was something that like you'd never had anything like that before. You know, it's like it was like the really, really
not much like it now. It's
no, not at all.
I think it's haunted too.
What the module itself is haunted?
No, the Teagle Manor.
Oh, I was like, yeah, the actual module that you purchased is haunted by the spirit.
Well, I'll tell you in March.
Fair enough.
So, but yeah, that and like there's the Rapid Havoc 5e that's coming. Tome of Horrors. We got a lot, and like the Bunnies and Burrows isn't until Easter, but you know we already started thinking about it and getting it done. And then we also have the stuff that we just did a release for the Swords of Wizardry Light rule set that we made. It's free, but we did a Tome of Horrors Light with like 16 or 18 creatures on it, on a folio we're going to print and give away at conventions, but it's available to people now on RPG Now or our website. So it's like a quick start, fast play rules. And Eric Tenkar wrote the rules or slimmed the rules down from Matt's to 4 pages. Then I laid them out and then we give them away so we can kind of encourage people to play. And Bill was all excited about it. And he printed like 5,000 copies, and we're running out.
I mean, the Swords of Wizardry Light rules are great. I mean, it's one of those things where it's just like if you just want to, you know, slap an adventure together, The rules for it are, it's bam, you're done. I mean, like you don't worry so much about like having 7,000 different rules or anything like that. I mean, eventually, if the characters raise enough levels, you're gonna have to like dig into a larger book to get spells and things like that. But
Right.
for the most part, it's like if you want to roll with a D&D game, Swords and Wizardry Light. So you guys are going to still keep supporting Swords and Wizardry, right? I
Oh
mean,
yes. No.
yeah, okay. Yeah, I
We're
heard you
not.
say 5e and Pathfinder,
Well,
and
no,
I
and
noticed.
well, I Swords and Wizardry, I thought I figured was implied, and I'm sorry. Though it's funny, I
Okay,
keep doing that because when I was talking to the Fantasy Grounds guys on email, I used our shorthand SW. It's like we don't have a Savage Worlds conversion of that. I'm like, no, it's Swords and Wizardry, not Savage Worlds. I just forget because we talk about Swords and Wizardry all the time, but no, that's a heavy focus for us because
gotcha.
we love it. It's getting more popular. We sell more as a percentage. We sell more titles all the time, and that's what Bill and Matt play, and so they have some say. So
Yeah, no, I am an old school. I mean, we play a modified version of old school D&D, and so like I like Swords and Wizardry because it's very easy to port that information over to our old school version that we play.
no,
So
absolutely,
just I want to talk about the Kickstarter because we kind of got away from
yeah.
it a little bit. Quest of
Sure.
Doom 4 is running on Kickstarter right now. You got a little over a week left. So it's 16 different modules, correct?
Correct, and they're for all three systems.
And you
And
can
like
pick and choose.
you can pick and choose. It's we have like tiered levels where you can pick 4, you can pick 6, you can pick them in PDF, or you can pick them in print. You can even pick and choose between systems. It'll all happen in the backer kit process. But and we went this way with it because we couldn't make a Quest of Doom book affordable with all 16 modules in it. It just wasn't going to be possible. And the Pathfinder modules, there are 9 new ones, or I think 9 new ones, not 16, because 7 of them were in the Perilous Vistas books, the Marshes of Malice and the Mountains of Madness. And so in order to get everybody the opportunity to get all of them, we had to do it in a way that was a pick and choose, mix and match. And Bill came up with this way after we wrote the Kickstarter and had the page set up and all the graphics and art, like 4 days before launch. He goes, I have an idea. And so we redid everything, all the art, all the graphics, everything else. But it's worked. It was it's kind of its lull period right now, like it normally is in the middle. But it was insane the first few days, and some people were like annoyed because they like our hardcover books a lot, and so do we. But economically, it wasn't feasible to do this because as much as they love the hardcover books, the $79 version of Quest of Doom probably wouldn't have been a popular decision. This way, we can offer the whole thing with each. You could pick and choose the ones you want, because some people just don't. They only want a couple, and some will want them all. So we're giving it a shot. I think this is much more ideal than a hardcover, just because of the solutions it gives you, and plus the PDFs when they're released will be inexpensive, and so you'll be able to pick and choose amongst those, aftermarket stuff. So they'll be available for a long time.
One of my there's a young lady who watches most of my live stuff, and she's watching us right now, and she's very excited about Tickle Manor, and she asked, will the 5e version be as bare bones as the original? It required the dungeon master to fill out a lot of descriptions.
Well, okay. What I know is this: we have giant books. Bill Webb likes to talk a lot. He loves Teagle Manor more than anything on the planet. It will not be as bare bones, though. I wouldn't be surprised if they had a bare bones section that was. It's a possibility. We haven't talked about it much, but there would be a section of it that reminds you of the old Teagle Manor, but it would be a fleshed out version. There's a couple different levels of dungeon, another dungeon level, some around Teagle Manor things. So yes, much longer, but still in the spirit of the original, because you're talking the guy doing the work on it cares about it more than anything. So. More than
She wants to know if she wants to know if you'll include a deck of many things with it.
I can probably know, but I can tell her exactly where to get one, because I know a guy who's got 1,000 of them for sale, and they're awesome.
Where can you buy a deck of many things?
Yeah, Michael Battalato from the North Texas RPG Con, they bought 500 off of a Kickstarter that had been done with the cards, and I have 2 of the decks, and they actually are really awesome. He's got them. I think they're $12 or something, or $18. They're cool.
Oh,
so
cool.
as a plug, he's if ever, you can get a hold of me, Zach@froggodgames.com. If you need a deck of many things, I will hook you up with the dealer. It won't be shady or anything. He won't meet you in the parking lot, but he'll get it sent to you.
Hey, I've been keeping like like we were talking about conventions, and you just made me think of that for a second. I keep saying I got to go to Gamehole Con. That's
Yes,
one of the that. I mean, that's one you guys go to on a regular basis, correct?
yes, yes.
Yes, and that's in Michigan, right?
No, it's in Madison, Wisconsin.
Madison, Wisconsin. I mean, that's like it's about a like 6 hour drive for me. That's something I could feasibly do. Like I could drive down for that.
I drive from Texas and I live in Arizona.
Well, there you
Um,
go.
well, we have a warehouse in Texas and we have a little storage area up in Janesville,
Yep.
Wisconsin. So I drive with Mike Battalato, and then we take him along because his job is to watch and maintain Bill Webb and keep him out of jail. And then my job is to run the booth and make sure all the booth things are smooth. And then the other guys will run our games, like Skeeter will run games. But yeah, Gamehole Con is a huge recommendation. It's getting bigger. It is run by a guy, Alex Kammer, who it's a machine. It runs like it's smooth. There's no line ever for anything. The only thing that stinks is he only orders so many of the custom Lego figurines. There's like custom Lego orcs or goblins. They always run
Oh,
out in
yeah.
10 minutes. My only complaint is he runs out of stuff. Other than that, it's great. It has true dungeons there, and so it's a growing convention for sure. The other two we attend are Gary Con and the North Texas RPG Con.
Yeah, I mean I don't know if I'll be able to I'll be able to pull it off this time because I got a convention. I got BGG Con like right afterwards. But
I hear you. No,
yeah, it's tough.
well, I would like to go to Origins with us, but I mean that's the week after North Texas, and North Texas is where we have our company meeting and our shareholders meeting, and we just love it there. But in order to go to another one, because in the spring I went to PaizoCon one weekend and went straight from there to North Texas, so I was gone from home for 11 days in conventions, and so it's tough. It is tough because I want to go to all of them because they're all my people.
Yeah.
They're my bros. They're my friends.
Well, when are you? You said you're going to go to Origins. I mean, I go to Origins now. Origins is a fun thing. You want to go?
I want to go real bad. I'm trying to convince Bill to go, or send at least one of us to. I like to the first year just to meet people and talk, but I think eventually I'd like to have a booth there because it's got a heavy role playing game element from what I read, and the people who go, like Tom Tullis from Fat Dragon told me it's the greatest. He loves it. It's a great time.
It is. It is a really, really good time. I mean, it was kind of slowing down, I guess would be a good way to put it. It was like, about 3-4 years ago, but the tabletop hobby, kind of having a boom is, has given it a lot of life, if you will.
Well, I think it's like it's got a pretty ideal size for a medium size publisher to be at. Gen Con is so expensive to sell at and so hyped and so many people that getting attention there requires a lot. And making the call between spending that much money or attending 4 other conventions is not that hard. Whereas Origins is a size where you can actually get seen and get remembered or noticed. So that's kind of why that one looks good to me. But I mean, I go to lots of little cons whenever I get a chance. So
yeah, I mean, it's Gen Con was I mean, they had more people this year than ever before. It still didn't feel like more busy than it was before, but I mean, it wasn't like there was nobody. I mean,
I saw the line to get in a picture. I was like, you got to be kidding. That looks like refugees trying to escape Indianapolis, not trying to get into a convention. I mean, it looks bad.
Well, I mean, once you get past like the once you get past the process or whatever, once you like get in and you get your badge and you're rolling, it wasn't that bad. It was just kind of, it was that, I mean, that's the best way I could describe it. It was, it wasn't horrible, but I will fully admit, there were definitely like things where I was just kind of like, oh, just like when you get into those little quagmires of like artery blockages, basically, of people. There definitely were moments where, yeah, it was well, a little bit rough.
But it's Gen Con and it's huge, and I mean that's kind of like what they call it. I think in Islam they're called a Hajj or a pilgrimage. I mean that's the kind of place you got to go once. I think is a big being really into games. It's like everybody is there that loves what you love and they're doing the things you like, and I think it'd be awesome. But just as a company decision, it is harder for us to justify it because there's 6 of us, and so who are you going to pick? I mean, oh, I'm sorry, this year, Bill, you don't get to go. You know, it's like it's
Yeah, I mean, and obviously the expense and everything like that. I mean, it's there. I mean, it's just Gen Con isn't cheap, but I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it's worth it to go just to do it, obviously.
yeah.
But it's huge. But Origins, you guys should really go to. You really should go to Origins next year, because in one I'll be there, so I'll actually get to meet you. And Origins is it's like a small version of Gen Con. It's like it's still big enough where it feels like there's a lot going on, but it's also just very open. It's like you never really feel like, oh my gosh, it's just like, what am I doing, or what am I doing, where am I going, or whatever. It's like, oh, I'm getting like pushed along by the crowd. You never feel like that. You feel it's just relaxed, I guess would be the best way to put it.
No, and I hope that Bill watches the replay of this on YouTube, because we want to go, Bill. I think Origins is the place for us. Okay, I'm done with that. Anyway, no, so yeah, and I was going to bring up that when like with the VTT maps that we're doing, we have more of an online presence too. We have a Twitch channel where we play Rapid Ethics 5e playtest. We're going through those levels, and like Skeeter Green and myself and Chuck Wright and Elizabeth Stewart from the Save or Die podcast, and a couple other people that we know, and like Edwin Nagy, who actually did the conversions running the game, and that's every other week on Twitch. And like we had never done anything like that at Frog God before. I bought a copy of the XSplit Broadcaster, and I have all this stuff to make it like a channel so you can watch the game on Roll20, and it's a different experience. But that's up. We have a YouTube channel now, and Matt has a YouTube channel as well. We both use that are like affiliated, and it's just now got enough subscribers, so it's youtube.com Frog God Games. So and Matt's got his where he talks about Swords and Wizardry. He talked about the OGL with a bunch of short videos that explain it to new publishers. What is it? What's it talking about? How to write for it to make sure you get it right and legal. And then he talked about why you do this in Swords and Wizardry, and they talked about surviving Hurricane Harvey. And we have more of a presence now than we had, and it's kind of nice. And if people are interested, we are much more everywhere than we used to be. So,
well, I just gave you another subscription. There you go.
Yay!
Yay!
Appreciate that.
No problem, man. So I mean, my invite to play Rapid Ethic with you must have got lost in the mail. So
actually, the cool thing is that the reason this is set up is we're going to have a rotational thing once we're confident how it works. High-level Kickstarter backers, fans who are just uber fans, that even if it doesn't matter how much you spend, it's how much you like us. But people will be able to get in to play it for a couple, like 1 month, you'll get 2 sessions, you'll come in and play. No one lives that long. We just had a wipe at the party, and it was a long time coming. Skeeter Green, and he's not on the channel with me, so Skeeter Green actually caused the wipe, and he kind of did it on purpose. I know this would shock everybody on the planet, but we're starting again this time. We were in the Cloister, and if you're familiar with Rapid with the Cloister, and now we're moving to the Zelkor's Ferry, I think.
Yeah.
And so we have this stuff set up for it, and we run it's about 2 hours long, and then at the last half hour, at the end of that, we talk about the design of it, things that went right, things that went wrong, things about Frog God in general. And so if you're interested, I will certainly put you in the rotation, man.
Oh, well, geez. I mean, if I have to
I know you have time. I know you have time. Well,
I know. I just got nothing but time. No, if the timing can work out, I'd love to play with you guys.
Yeah, we'd love to have you on there.
Fantastic. No, my question, I guess. Well, so how did you wipe? I mean, what killed you? What killed the party?
Skeeter Green's Cube of Force. We were all low level, and he turned the Cube of Force on just big enough and trapped us inside the Cube of Force with a bunch of undead that were much more alive than we were. And I think he was trying to like chop them with the Cube of Force or keep them out so we could heal. And instead, because the distance he gave, we got trapped inside it with angry undead.
Oh yeah. But, no, I've had several encounters in the world of Rapid Ethic and others that have that have killed off parties.
It's not designed for it's not an adventure path. Let's put it that way.
No, it isn't. It will take you for levels. No, not at all. I think it was. I've had one die right away to the guardrails right at the very beginning. You know, like they you know, like a couple of bad paralyze, you know, save versus paralyzation rolls, and they were done. I had the what's the name of the lich or whatever, or like not the lich, the magic jar, the
Oh,
with the iron golems.
yeah. I could have to look it up right now. I'm
Yeah,
so immersed with. There are 300 and different types of encounters in there. I have a spreadsheet. I can't remember.
but I can't remember that person's name. I remember, and then probably when it wasn't even Rapid Athletic, but like when I was like, okay, I'm gonna do a game to level them up a little bit before they got to Rappin, and like we did a Lost City of Baracus
Oh yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And I remember one of my all time favorite party wipes was in Baracus. There's a barbarian that has this fighting dog with them, and he's really tough. Like, but if you're nice to him, he won't just outright attack you. But they screwed up and they angered him, and so he was beating them mercilessly and destroying them. And there was one person left, and like they actually like the fighter and hit, they both, the barbarian and the fighter hit at the exact same time. They both died, and the only person left was this gnome wizard, and but the fighting dog was still alive. And then he was running away, and I remember there was, and so like, and of course the dog is faster, you know, and he's running, and like, so he as he's running away, he gets to this like four-way hallway, and he casts obscuring mist behind him to try to hide which way he goes. And so I just said, okay, well, I'm gonna, like, the dog will show up, it won't know where you are. I'm gonna roll a D4 or like a D3, and we're gonna see if it comes up a 1. He figures out which way you went, and he chases you down. And I remember throwing the die and watching it slowly
slow motion,
hit the
clunk, yeah,
and just, you know,
the boom, yeah, the
one,
big,
you know, and so, just and so the image, the slow motion image of the gnome, you know, running fast, and as the dog is like on it.
Well, chases are like something Matt was just mentioning yesterday on his YouTube chat we did, that chases are some of the best in old school games when you are not going to encounter, you're not going to engage, you refuse, or you have taken enough damage, you're out of there, and you just can't get out.
Oh yeah,
those are some of the best encounters ever. Unfortunately, they end like you just described more often than not, but they're still memorable.
Like it at the heels, trips him up, gets on top of him. You see the hands going up as the dog's gnawing on his arteries. You know, yeah, it's you know, but see, you remember that moment though. I mean, I probably had thousands of D&D sessions where you don't remember anything, but you remember that moment, and we still laugh and have a
great
time.
Story. I mean, it is because I can see like the map, I can see the four-way hall. Yeah. I can picture in my mind the dice roll. I mean, we all can relate to the best memory ones because they're not always a chase, they're not always this, but they're always either the one where you really need that 20 and it showed, or the time that all you needed was a 3 and you got a 2. I mean, those are the kind of things that you remember, and they make the game fun. They make it. That's what makes it fun. Is you get to do it with socially with other people. It's memorable, and it has just enough of the luck, random element that even with the best decisions, things can go awry. So
yeah, no, I agree. You know, just So, let me here. Hold on a second here. No, I got a question for you actually here.
Sure.
We actually have people watching now.
Hi, people.
Mr. William Mindflayer wants to know, when will we get another Rapin Athuk expansions book?
You will be. That's a good question and very astute question. There's one that'll be coming with the Rapin Athuk 5e Kickstarter that will include the new levels for Swords and Wizardry and Pathfinder. That's the plan. Now, I can't make promises on the delivery times or anything else yet because that's being figured. But as far as I know, that's the current plan we've got, is to make sure that it comes out in some form, depending on how long it is, etc. But yes, there was another expansion book, and we're not leaving out the people who play Pathfinder and Swords and Wizardry because we actually
damn well better not.
No, we don't, and we did. That's why the maps is first. We wanted the color maps available the first time because, look, we have a lot of people who paid $100 already for this book, and they love it, but they don't feel like 4 years later they need to pay another $100. We get it, and we don't want to make it a problem. So that's why we did maps first in color for everybody with art color, and we're also doing the expansion stuff would be available as well. But that's still getting fleshed out. I just talked to Bill late last night about the expansions and where he was on it and such. So I could relay that to the people who were doing the work on the basically Skeeter Green is who I'm relating to. So, I could say the people, but that's just one guy, and you know him. So
yeah, no, I know exactly. The young lady Kabuki Kid wants to know where, and I know the answer to this, but where can they get that cool wall hanging that you have behind you?
Yeah, can't.
Yeah, I didn't want to say it. I wanted you to break her heart. So
Yeah, I'm sorry. Once upon a time, you could go to online print companies because they make shower curtains, and you can put anything you want on them. Well, with a little bit of Photoshop skill and a little understanding metadata just a bit, I could sneak one by their automated censorship program for copyrights. And so I snuck by 2 of those, and one of them belongs to Jim Wampler, the author of Mutant Crawl Classics. The other one belongs to me, and I use it at conventions to get the old TSR guys to sign it. So no, unfortunately, there's no good way unless you can. I don't think there is. I tried to do it. I tried to do it one more time for a gift, and I tried 4 times, and I failed miserably. So, but we do Kados maps on that size now, and we do the Bardscape maps. We're making sure that those are utilized because they're just awesome. So
yeah, no, they really are. I mean, they look fantastic. So, yeah. So, all right, cool. Well, what else is rolling down the hill for Frog God?
Oh wow. We are doing we're just now fleshing out how we're gonna, because we're moving to color, and because Necromancer Games started in like 2000 and Frog Guys we're still going on. We have thousands of pieces of black and white art that are just in a database that I have on our SharePoint server. And we're going to make those available for either really cheap or some of them free, some of them really, really, really cheap. That's Bill's only requirement, is that they be cheap enough for small publishers to utilize if they're going to print black and white books on print on demand. So they're high resolution TIFF files of all kinds of art that we're going to make available as stock art for RPG stuff. We're just working out some of the legality stuff and contacting some of the artists so they know. But that's coming to help small publishers publish. And mostly because it's a shame to look at some of that great art. Just the only one who gets to see it is me, as I scroll through this giant database, and I grab all the art from the Adobe package files and I copy to the database, and then it just sits there. And it's too bad because there's some great stuff, especially if you're looking to make an old school feel to things. I mean, it's got all that there. So we're working with that. The tokens we're making for, I did a test for on Starfinder. I made the tokens for our Tome of Aliens so I could learn how for sure. So when the time comes to make them for the Tome of Horrors 5, or all the Tome of Horrors actually, they're available. And so I'm trying to do it with options. And so I do things like, well, I made round tokens, and then they had the picture of the creature in it. And then I just made just the creature by itself as a PNG, and all kinds of trying to figure out the best way to do it. So when we deliver them for Tome of Horrors and Rapanath, they're already awesome. So I'm working on that. New website coming. I mean, it's just lots of things happening. We're working real hard to make sure it's the best it can be for everybody.
Perfect. Hey, I got another question for you.
Sure.
And you and I can probably put our minds together and figure this out together. They want to know if they wanted to dive into the Frog God Games world as far as which RPG, like, I'm gonna say it. Maybe they're saying module. I don't know for certain, but I mean, where would you begin if you're gonna wanted to get the feel for a Frog God world or Frog God publication?
Well, actually, it depends on your experience level with other RPGs, and if you want to really jump in, Rapanath is our signature, and if you take it for what it is, it's deadly and it's crazy, but that is basically distilled Frog God. That and Slumbering Czar. If I was just starting, I would start with Swords and Wizardry Complete, which is free on our website, or even Swords and Wizardry Lite. And then we have, there's a couple of short modules that Bill Webb wrote, like 1974 and Grimsgate, one by Matt Finch. And then from there, with the short ones there, Stoneheart Valley, Lost City of Baracus are, in my opinion, the two that are more of our main line of adventures that work real well as a start. So that's my real answer. But if you're hardcore already, go to Rapanath, man. It misses you.
Yeah, I mean, to piggyback on what you said, I would say, uh, Frog God Games was originally a company called Necromancer Games, and Necromancer Games, their tagline was, uh, third edition rules, because this is when third edition D&D came out. Third edition rules, but first edition feel. So it was like old school Dungeons and Dragons feel, but like with third edition rules. So as time went on, Frog God Games, well, Necromancer Games, kind of like had
The
a
fourth
just
edition. Yeah.
yeah, with fourth edition it kind of it switched, and it kind of had a little stutter step, and then it was reborn as Frog God Games. And um Frog God Games then became like they started reprinting some of their old stuff that had gone out of print, and they reprinted Slumbering Czar, which is this giant monolith of an adventure that it's over there. I'm not even gonna get it because it's so
It's a
heavy.
whole show. Yeah, no, it's a whole
Yeah,
show in itself. To even,
yeah, but the whole thing is that when he says Rappanathic is their signature title, it's really tough. I mean, like it's tough to explain to people. Like a lot of people like don't. I mean, because if you didn't live during the 70s and start playing D&D in the 70s, you don't really know what it was like to play D&D back then. There weren't grids. There weren't, like all of these like highfalutin things going on. It was,
quantum physics didn't matter. Like, dimensional stuff, like you could go one direction and wind up somewhere. So Rappanathic is very reminiscent of that, but we have done a lot of work to make sure that you can sketch it out and see it. It's just huge.
yeah.
And you can die a lot in the old school games. I mean, we always died.
No, yeah, you had extra character sheets. You brought extra character sheets
Right.
with you to the campaign. Yeah, because you knew you were going to die. I mean, it was just like you were gonna. Okay, so like in Pathfinder and well, third edition Pathfinder, all this stuff, they have all these things where. Like poison does extra damage, or we're going to lose a couple points of dexterity. Back in the day, poison was save or die. Oh, it's like roll higher than a 12. I didn't. Okay, your character's dead. Just like crumple up the piece of paper, throw it away.
Open the door, you're dead.
Yeah, get another one. I mean, I remember having they were in the process of rolling up their new character, and because the party needed a thief, they said make a thief. And he was in the process of making his character and wasn't even done with like the person's name, and they had to have him try to like open a chest that was trapped that killed him, so he had to throw that character away that was like half done, and then
it's like Traveler, except for that explicit rule.
Yeah. So I mean, but and people are like, oh, that doesn't sound fun at all, but that was the whole point. Was it wasn't like, yes, your character was cool, and the focus was on having a cool character, but it wasn't like now. I mean, like now when you have a Pathfinder character, you have all of these stats and all of these skills. And
Hero Lab.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily a bad thing.
It's a great thing. It's just different.
It's a different thing. Yeah, and so like you come into like when you create a Pathfinder character or a 5e character, you have. Like you have this huge backstory, and you have all these things about them and everything like that. That you've created this character and this whole overarching story, and you already have like the mentality is weird, right? I mean, I guess it's like you already say, I need to find the person that abducted my daughter or something, and you
have a life story. You have an arc and a purpose, and you have an attachment that we didn't have.
No, because you grew the attachment when you kept your character alive.
Yeah, he's third level. You were like awesome, like oh man.
Yeah, I remember the first person who ever got to third level in like when I played old D&D. I mean, like it was just like, you're third level, seriously? I mean, even though it was a thief,
second level spells.
Oh yeah, yeah. Just like, I mean, it was like people were just astounded that they actually had survived.
And it's not a superior way to play. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I enjoy 5e immensely. I enjoy Pathfinder once I figured out how to play, because I only really played first edition until I came back to doing this. But I find 5e elegant. I find Jeremy Crawford's the decisions he made to make it appeal to almost everybody, pretty great ones. And so you can play like an old school style in 5e, which makes the Rappanathic 5 going to be a lot of fun. You can choose your abilities to do so, but we also have it so you can use some of these abilities, and you're able to enjoy it the way you want to. And so we recognize the play styles have changed. There's some of our most heated conversations about design come directly about, well, there was no teleporting allowed in here. Like, well, why not? Like, well, because they can win that way. I'm like, well, okay, well, they got all the way to 7th level, and you're going to cripple them. Who cripples fighters? These kind of decisions and stuff matter. They matter to our product. They matter to the people who are designing it. So that's where the discussions go big. So the different play styles are considered heavily while we do this.
Yeah, I mean, like old school D&D, like mages were deadly, like deadly, but they rarely lived long enough to be deadly.
1d4, you roll a 2 all the time.
Yeah,
I got 2 hit points, man. I got in one spell. You're a 1 charge magic item.
Yeah, but I remember every single time like a DM would describe the NPC party. It's like, what do they look like? Oh, well, there's a guy and he's got chainmail, he's got a holy symbol. Okay, he's the cleric. You're like, no. And then when you get to, okay, there's a guy in the back, he's got robes. Shoot the mage. Shoot him. It's like,
don't let him open his mouth. Kill him now.
No, it was just yeah. I mean, it wasn't a better way to play. It was, like you said, it was a different way to play.
But this Rappahathic points back to it, because that's when Bill Webb, my boss, the CEO, when he wrote the original Rappahathic as like campaign stuff, that was how you played. And his games at conventions that's how you play. And it's a lot of fun. And he just was convinced at the time when they started Necromancer that's what the world needed, was more of that. And so I think that's why Swords and Wizardry is ours, because Matt Finch felt the same way. That the world needed Osric, the world needed Swords and Wizardry, because they did. And so we print stuff that I think we're real proud of them. I'm glad to be a part of the company because I'm proud of the products that we make. So
yeah, and the thing is that it still maintains a deadly atmosphere. Like Rappahathic, I mean, when I tell people you need to own Rappahathic, if anything, just to read it and read, like,
it ain't a safe space, put it that way.
Yeah, and but people see the sticker tag on it. Like, if you want to buy the book, it's like $100, I think, right? I mean, it's just a flat $100. And I mean, you can wait, and sometimes Paizo has a deal on it and what have you.
And we have deals on it on PDF sometimes, and yes, but it is $100, and
it's a book that's amazing. I mean, I can't stress that enough. Just how good that book is.
This is the third version of it. This is coming up will be the fourth, because they had the Rappahathic 3-module set, the upper levels, the lower levels. Then they had the Rappahathic Reloaded,
complete or Reloaded, box set. And I own that. I'm really proud of it.
I got that one. And then they had the Rappahathic in the 2012 that was a single volume hardcover book that had it all. And then now we're making another one that's even bigger. So, and it's only even bigger because we have learned a little bit from what we did. We listened to people who play, and we unleash the boss to write something crazy, and it's like a growing concern, but it is by far our best-selling title over the last 20 years. I mean, it's very rare you have a product that's relevant in some way still 2 years after you release it, let alone 15, right? So 13 or whatever. I can't remember what the exact date is on the modules, but it's a while. And we're looking forward to doing it with the 5e version. And so it's going to be awesome. The maps are going to make it playable online. That's going to just be incredible. So,
well, that's cool. I mean, so I got to ask a question, and I know I'm probably going to be sad by the answer. So you're going to make an even bigger book for 5e that's going to have like some of the stuff that's like, I mean, you're going to fold in some of the expansion stuff in for the new Rappahathic book. So, but you're going to like create those but you're not going to make an even bigger book for like Swords and Wizardry or anything like that. You're just going to have those extra books.
My answer to that is, with enough money, we'll do anything. No, I mean, I'm serious. It's the resources for it. We already sold a bunch of books in 2012, and it kind of looks like we're being like greedy to have a new book for Pathfinder that's complete one with all the stuff, right? Not that long ago, and then but it's color. Like pay $125. We're trying to make sure that they're not left behind, and this was the way to do it. But I guarantee you, if it gets up to the same level of funding as Rappahathic, the first Kickstarter, did, we will listen to that kind of stuff, and we will be happy to print books that people are going to buy. But we're just not sure that Swords and Wizardry and Pathfinder reselling them again this soon wasn't sure that was the best decision.
No, I understand that. I mean, I guess I mean, me
I know
personally,
you'd buy it. Yeah, no, I'd buy it.
I would buy it. I would buy it in a heartbeat. I want to have this giant, thick Rappanathic book that just has everything in it. I mean, just so I can have it, holding my
Don't
shelf
tell
down.
Bill that, because we'll do it, because it'll weigh 900 pounds too.
Well, in case like a
we have
tornado
bestiaries
comes.
and all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's got its own. Put it this way, the Tome of Horrors coming out, most of the creatures in there are in Rappanathic, so we can reference them, because it's like the VTT sets are going to be expensive because they have both books, or probably that way, but they're going to require one or the other, and so we're looking at this is a complicated product that takes thousands of man hours to make, and we want you to try it. It's great. So.
I mean, and I tell everybody, your sticker shock when you see the price to buy a Rappanathic book, you're gonna say, "What? $100?
No module's worth that?" No.
Yeah, they're always gonna say that.
I've heard it all.
you will never run out of. You would be hard pressed to ever run out of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, like you just and it's just. It's a labor. It's a love letter to role playing games. I mean, is the way I put it. It's just so good.
And Slumber Glazar is a love letter to newer role playing games in the same way. Greg Vaughn wrote. It's an adventure path more style, but Greg Vaughn wrote it, and it is just amazing. And it's older now, but we have Bard's Gate's amazing, and we did that one in color for all 3 systems. And the Razor Coast, if you like the pirate stuff, that's amazing. We got that from those.
Well, and let's not forget Sword of Air. I mean, because
and Sword of Air is the most old school one we make by far in terms of that is Bill Webb's personal magnum opus. So
and Sword of Air is like, oh, hey, everybody always says I want a sandbox. They always say that I want to just throw. Everybody always says that they want to have an adventure where it's like, okay, you're here in the city, do what you want to do.
That's Sword of Air.
They want to do that, and Sword of Air is exactly that. Bill Webb wrote basically an entire area of the world where like your players will never experience all of it. And okay, you're in this town, go ahead. And that's like one of the coolest things ever to do. If you have something like that where there's all these different plots and machinations going on in the city, and like into a certain degree, Baracus is the same way. Like the city's got a lot of crap going on inside of it. There's a lot of stuff going on in that dungeon, but people can do it. But I mean, Sword of Air, it's like, okay, go ahead. And they're like, what do you mean go ahead? No, go ahead. What do you want to do? Oh, all right. Well, I guess we just leave the town and head west. Oh, okay. And you're gonna find something. You're gonna run into something that's gonna want to kill you, or you're gonna find like farmers in distress that need your help. And it's just, I don't know. It's just it's fantastic. You can tell. I think Bill told me that he went on like a vacation or something with his family, and while his family went and played on a beach, he went to like a bar and just started writing. He said, Sort of Air. That's how he took care of that, if I remember correctly. I don't know if I'm remembering that or not the right way. So. And apparently I've lost Zach. So I'm going to sit here and talk for a little bit, and hopefully he comes back in. He's logging in again, so I'm going to talk for a little bit by myself, and hopefully he'll come back on. So I'd like to thank everybody who's taking the time to hang out and listen to me talk and whatever, and who's watching right now. So if anybody's got more questions, and I agree, Traveler was cool, though I don't know how long you could play it as far as that is concerned. I mean, it's one of those things where, I don't know. It's one of those things where space RPGs, for whatever reason, I don't think they work as well for me. I mean, I'm sure other people have enjoyed space RPGs a great deal, but for me, they just never seem to last as long or what have you. It never. Hold on one second. Nope. I see you. No, so it's just so I don't know. I've always wanted to run a good space RPG, but I'm having trouble like pulling that off. I did see that, like, I did back the new Stars Without Number book, which I'm excited to try out once I get that. But yeah, no. This is weird trying to talk without anybody here, so I'm just gonna have to if anybody has any questions, Kabuki Kid, I know you're watching, so that I can answer those. And he's having troubles logging back in. Hold on one second, everybody. I do apologize for this.
Okay, I see you now.
I
did click the link and it sat there saying joining call. And so
I even got kicked out for a second. That was really weird. That was like,
yeah, it was weird.
I apologize for that. I was going off on my diatribes.
North Koreans. I'm sure they launched a missile and we missed it. So.
I was going off on one of my diatribes and
awesome.
And there you go. And then of course then you oh hey, the Juicy Dangler wants to let me know that he likes my videos. Thanks, Juicy Dangler. I appreciate that.
That's a great name.
Yeah, the Juicy Dangler. I always liked Kuki wants to know a board game. Right now, that's a great question for the designer of Orleans board game. If they're talking board games, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. I like those too.
Oh, it's not us. It's YouTube servers are having issues. Okay, cool.
I feel better now.
I know that as long as Orleans keeps selling copies, you can be certain that Reiner Stockhausen is probably going to be designing things for it. So, and TMG will be happy to keep publishing those as long as they're good. We don't publish junk, so we're not going to just publish it to publish it. We're going to make sure that the game is good before we do that. But I think I was going off on RPGs a little bit, and as far as like the different things, but we'll move forward. And so if people back Blight, they should expect to see that in their mail in the next few weeks, correct?
Well, it will take literally 3 to 4 weeks to ship them all out, and not for lack of trying. I mean, he built an entire warehouse, and it's going to fill the whole bottom floor of pallets of books. I mean, they've got to be, I don't know, if about that thick. I mean, they're huge, 900 pages, between 7 to 80 for Swords and Wizardry and almost 1,000 for the Pathfinder.
Okay.
These are huge. They fit like only 4 to a case. And so in a case, there's like 16 cases on a pallet or whatever. I mean, we have a lot of books coming. And so his packing them, making sure all the extras are in there and sending them out is going to take about 3.5 weeks or 4 weeks. So you'll see it very soon. And it's going to go, it'll be a while, but it will be this month. September, you will see your book.
Yay.
Yeah, we're happy too.
Well, I mean, it's got to feel nice to get it off your plate as well, right?
It does, and it's a great book. It is certainly unique, and I tell you what, it was a lot of work. It was my first experience with one of our long ones, but I think it's one of our longest. And there's 5 extra modules. There's like 7 extra guides. There's card decks. I mean, it's a lot involved in it that were extras that we did as well. So all that stuff's available. And it's all coming to you. If you're a backer, you'll be really pleased. So,
yeah. So you're going to be supporting Starfinder. So when can they expect to see some Starfinder stuff?
It's already available. It was at Paizo.
Oh, it is now. Yep. Oh, Paizo has it. Okay.
No, it's on the Paizo site, and they were selling it at Gen Con for us. It's a Tome of Aliens, which is like Tome of Horrors. It's a shorter piece, but it has like 48 aliens or a little more than that. In kind of the Style Stitch book. And then the other one is a planetarium, which is 10 planets completely fleshed out and described. They aren't adventure paths, but they are all the things you need to visit them. And so those 2 books are available at our site, Paizo's site, and also at Drive-Thru.
All right. Well, Mud Puppy Comics just asked.
I know him. Hey,
yeah.
Jim Wampler.
Your FGG does medieval fantasy and Starfinder books. What about doing something in the post-apocalyptic genre?
Man, that's about to be a crowded space, is all I can say. Mutant Crawl Classics is coming. It's going to be a great game.
Yeah?
So, yeah. You know, I'm.
Who's publishing that? Is you
Goodman? No.
Goodman.
Goodman Games. Jim Wampler is the author and the guy behind all of it, and Goodman's publishing it. It's compatible with the DCC system, but it's awesome. So we don't have space there. Let's put it that way.
All right,
or enough people.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, so you have the Kickstarter going on right now. It's got, like I said, a little over a week left.
Yep.
So when's the next Kickstarter?
That's next month, and it will be the maps, Rapid maps.
Okay, and those will be fantastic. Now, are those going to be in like a binder kind of thing, so they're easy to read, or how?
No, we're making a folio of loose leaf maps with one side's the GM map, one side's the player map. They'll be in the book too. So, but you have an option for a folio you can pick up printed, and that's going to be thick, but they are loose leaf, so they can be put on a table and boom, there it is, without showing the player map to the GM. The GM map to the player. It's able to just be put right there. So there's physical maps for that. You might have some art that comes with that as well. That'll be in a folio, real nice, printed same time we print the Rapid Ethic books. But the VTT maps will come in 3 different ways, and they will be available much sooner and for online. So they'll come in like PNG files as layers, all set up like 5 layers, and then a PDF with a grid layer, GM layer, and player layer, and then also the just the JPEGs themselves.
So then the question is that so then will you create more of those folio things later when you create more expansions and things like that for Rapid?
Well, these folios will include expansions. They will have the expansions that are going to be in Rapid Ethic mapped out and in them.
Oh.
Yep. And so, yes, they will be available. And we would like to see these more available. Like right now, the stretch goals on the Kickstarter for Quest of Doom include VTT maps for some of the modules. And that way there are online maps available. We haven't done that before because honestly, we did not have the resources. And we're now getting a chance to do so. So those will be available on this Kickstarter, but the big one coming is for Rapid Ethic. So for those. And if they do real well, we'll do it for now on. So
cool. And then when is the 5e Rapid Ethic? When is that going to?
We're looking at either the very end of Q4 or Q1 next year.
Very cool. Very cool. And so there's nothing in between there, though.
No, the Toma Horrors 5e is probably in between.
Oh.
So that's and that's kind of, it won't be as big as Toma Horrors Complete because it's honestly getting color art for 800 pages of creatures. We want to illustrate each one would break us in terms of price. And so it's going to be a little bit smaller. It's going to kind of a core book we're going to release follow-ups to it. That is in the fall. We'll have more specifics about that. When that launches, I'll tell you all about it. And after that's the stuff we talked about, like the bunnies and the teagles and we have things mapped out. We actually have, for the first time, I think, as a company, an actual chart. And so we're good through the end of next year. It looks like so.
End of next year, good through end of 2018.
I think we've got a schedule and a lineup that I think should we follow it, and that's my Skeeter doesn't believe that we can, but I believe we can. So,
is there anything super secret or anything like you can hint at?
No, the things that are super secret I can't hint at. Bill already called me while I was on this call, and I didn't answer it. So if I say something secret, that means he might be listening. So.
Oh well, if he is, hello, Bill. I gotta. As many times as I've talked to Bill, I really need to meet him finally.
You should, because he's mentioned wanting to meet you. So, I think yours may be one of the 3 or YouTube broadcasts he's ever been on, and that before I was a frog, I watched that broadcast with him, like you walking around with the iPad. So.
I was honored to.
I bet I could get him to come on again. A month ago I would have said no, but I bet he would come on one of these times for you. Maybe we'll bring him on with Rapping Ethic.
Well, though the big thing is that like they said, it wasn't even so much that getting him on. It was just the technology, like
We're working on it. Even last night he was saying he's going to try to get. He would like to take a look at Roll20 and Fantasy Grounds, and just so he can see him and understand him. So I think that he sees it as more important now, and I think that he'd come on this. But I don't promise anything. That's the best thing about being the boss is you can do what you want, right? So
fair enough. All right, so I gotta ask one thing, and I know, and if you maybe you can say something, maybe you can't, but this is something that I've that like Bill has.
Question, I bet.
Oh, well, it's
go ahead. Go ahead. No. Go ahead.
No. I want to know. I want to know.
Go ahead. Go ahead. No. Go ahead.
All right. So, are you guys ever going to take Splinters of Faith and make a giant book?
That wasn't the question I thought. It's a good question. But it's come up. It's come up, and I could see that happening because Splinters of Faith is a great series. But we don't always want to reprint things we've already done. I mean, we've done great stuff. We've been around a long time. So that's one of the ones that's like a back burner, kind of like a 5e edition of Slumbering Czar. They're there in our minds, and we'd like to do them. And there may be a time in the next couple of years we get to them, but not right away. But it's a great. I know Chuck Wright, our layout guy, would really like to see that happen because I think that's his favorite series. So
Splinters of Faith is fantastic, and I don't think enough people know that it exists. Honestly, I mean it's for me that those 10 adventures are some of the best. Like if you're looking for a swords and wizardry adventure path, I think it's really good. And you guys have a Pathfinder as well.
Yep.
And if you want an old school feel of and also adventure path, like taking a character level 1 through 20, Splinters of Faith is fantastic. I mean, it's really, really good. As far as like basically it's such a cool idea that like, okay, so you come to this weird town in the middle of nowhere. They talk about basically this old tomb, but like basically you got there 2 days too late, and somebody already had gone in there and had let loose the ultimate evil, and you slowly figure out what that evil is, and you start to follow it, and try to figure out what you're going to do
across 10 of them, across 10 modules, and they're all real fleshed out. And the Jeff Harkness wrote some of those. And I mean, we have good authors that work for us that have wrote some of Splinters of Faith and some of the Quest of Doom too. The Quest of Doom, although they're individually done, I mean, we got some by Steve Winter, we got some by James Ward, we got some by
Lance. I can't figure the first
Lance Havermail, man, he's
Havermail.
Awesome.
Oh, he's great, and he's got a good name. That first name is really good. Yeah, that's a strong name.
He's great. He does a lot of work with us, and so I think he's going to do some work on the Rapping Ethic 5e too. So
perfect.
Yeah.
What was the question you thought I was going to ask?
I thought you were going to ask about the campaign world.
Well, I do want to know about that. When is the quintessential like gazetteer or whatever for Lost Land's going to happen?
We really want to make sure that when it's released, it's great. And the Lost Land stuff that's all over Greg Vaughn, making sure that he is the one who takes care of making sure that our stuff makes sense and making sure that it doesn't contradict itself and doing all that. And so when he's prepared, I know we're working on it. I know we have stuff for it, and I've seen maps like outlines and stuff that I had never seen before. So I know that things are happening, but I couldn't, even though I have a guess, I couldn't tell you what the date would be.
Yeah. And plus,
I don't want it to be promises. If I tell you there's something and then someone's going to say, you said on this, Lance said, and then,
the big thing for that for me is that I really want, I want the deities. I want a big giant list of all the different gods of the Lost Lands.
That's the most common request we have, and we have there's a spreadsheet that we've got that has some on them. Greg did a great blog post on it that has a lot of the stuff. But yes, you will get that, and it will be awesome.
But when, we don't know.
Well, it's in the God's time.
That's fine. Well, okay. So, I mean, obviously, you're a busy man. I'm a busy man. Yep. I don't want to take up more of your day. I mean, you and I could talk RPGs all day long.
We could, and I do talk RPGs all day long. But I agree. So, but if anyone has questions, I'm Zach at froggodgames.com. I'm the mouth of Bill Webb and Frog God. So if you need anything from Frog God, you can ask me. www.froggodgames.com. We have the Twitch channel is twitch/froggodgames or twitch TV/froggod, and a YouTube channel. same thing, /Frog God. So you need something for Frog God, they're available everywhere, and I'm the guy who will help you out. So let me know.
All right. Well, don't. I'm gonna shut her down. But hey, hang out for a second because I want to
Sure.
talk to you off camera for a moment too.
Sure.
Thanks everybody for taking the time to watch this live. I appreciate.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, that was cool. I mean, I fully expected not many people, and we got like I think we had 10 people at one point. So this is more for people that are probably watching this after the fact. So if you're watching it after the fact, thanks very much. If you play RPGs and you love RPGs, I strongly suggest just take a stroll over to Frog God Games and take a look. And yes. Maybe $100. It sounds like it's a lot of money for a Rappaneathic, but you will not be disappointed. So.
Listen to this man. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Thanks, bud.